Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be trying a few different things actually. Now, I have updated my rules that I have had on the side for some time now. This is the newest addition to my own game type. So basically, it's called 830 RPG, and I was able to reduce it to a one page one page rule set. Now, you basically have to start with your character, write a character name, a brief origin story. You have three traits to work with. You have power, speed, and mind. Now, don't mind any spelling errors if there are any. This context, this layout is not final. This is always ongoing, and I really don't plan on releasing this to itch or any website. This is mainly just for me, just to use for my videos if I ever get tired of using another engine. So I always will try to play test this as much as I can, whether it's on camera or off camera. Then after you have the three laid out, you then choose an expert trait. You circle one based on your origin story. So let's say if you're a veteran from war, maybe you're an expert you have some in power, or if you're a archaeologist of sorts, then you have perhaps mind as an expertise. So that will give you a boost in what I call trait checks, which are down here. So then you have your health, which is the sum of these three. So these sum D4s, you can get up to as much as 12 HP, or 12 health, I should say. And then a couple of familiar things from my prior editions. You have attack die, which is your starting weapon. Then you have your defense die, which is your armor, your defensive capabilities. Then you have your inventory. So similar to the Cairn RPG, you can carry up to 10 items in a travel pack. And then you start with four useful items, 3 days rations, a light source, weapon, and armor. So I try to have this tailored to work with any source material, any theme, era, past, present, future, sci-fi, fantasy, etc., or existing IP like Blade Runner, Fallout, etc., Star Wars. So that way I can really use this as a rough template and then kind of fudge the rules at times if I have to, which we will do. And I think I'm going to start a one shot in this video just to play test this one and using another method, which we'll talk about in a second, as how I do these videos. And the big part here is the trait checks. So, much like in D&D, when when the GM thinks of a difficulty, a DC, like 15 or 10, the player has to roll to that with their skill and apply the appropriate modifier. So with this one, you choose a trait that relates to the task. So remember, we only have these three to work with. So if the character's trying to scale a wall, then that would be a power trait. And if the wall is perhaps not too tall and our character is a adventurer of sorts, then maybe a casual D6 or a 6 is suitable for that task. So you choose a difficulty out of these six. You have very easy, casual, hard, very hard, impossible, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. This is a 2d6 system for the trait checks. I've been fumbling between D20 D 2d6. I've been trying to figure that out. Heck, I even thought of a percentage system, but I kind of fell back on this one after playing with some other one-page RPGs. Then all you do is you roll your 2d6 plus your trait. If you're an expert, you get an extra d6 plus your trait. Drop in the lowest d6 roll. That way, it kind of gives you an advantage if you roll two lows and you have one high, so you still get that additional trait. Now, this is a work in progress because I can see how it like you would think, well, why does it matter? You still bounce back to uh 2d6 if you're rolling three. That is true, but I'm going to try it in action and we'll see how it works. Again, these rules, I'm going to fudge them Maybe if this is going to be like instead a 2d6 plus a d4 plus your trait, just an extra die. We'll see. I'm going to try this out and see if it does benefit us. If you roll at or greater than is a success, rolling under is a fail. Rolling 12 is a critical success with some extra benefit. Rolling 1 is a critical failure. So this gave me the roll at or above to succeed. Then you have the other side here, the other column. You have combat mode. It's based on diverse die. It's really simple. There is no, move, use item, etc. This is strictly narrative stripped down to diverse die. You roll your attack and defense die. So the player character rolls 2 total dice. The enemy rolls 1 battle die. The higher roll lands a hit. To calculate damage given to the enemy, the difference is the amount. To calculate damage given to the PC, the initial difference minus defense die is the amount. Equal rolls do not deal damage, they push back 5 feet. Then the last two here detail enemies. The enemies you encounter are based on their battle die. Their battle die represents their attack and health. Enemies do not wield armor. The difficulty of an enemy is based on their attack or their type of battle die. Period. Then you have the four here: easy, casual, hard, nightmare. So D4, D6, D8, D12. The battle die itself is the amount of damage possible that they can roll, essentially. The max roll the battle dice are set health. So if I have characters stationed around an area, set around an area, I'm going to put the max number of their die as their health. And then we'll basically go through each set of characters to roll. I'm still trying to decide if this is like the entire squadron you go after, if there's multiple enemies. I don't clarify this here. But again, work in progress. If it's just die versus die, so my player against the entire squad of the enemy, if there's more than one, then I'll just go like that. I'll go down the list and basically I'll distribute it where my hits land, if I do land any hits compared to the enemy die. And then the final thing is kind of a addition I didn't have before, I don't think, but evolution, which essentially is leveling up. Evolution, as the adventure progresses, your character will grow and evolve based on a milestone system, not XP. Evolving can be tied to defeating a difficult adversary or completing a monumental quest. For each evolution, improve on the following: 1 plus d4 to one trait only. Max is 10 for any trait, FYI. Max health is the new total sum of the three traits. So it basically just affects your traits and it inadvertently affects your your health. So that is my rule set, 830 RPG. I'm going to keep this off to the side. And then I will also might use our Mythic engine. Perhaps. I'm going to keep this on the side. It does have this very helpful list, but from time to time I can kind of steer away from this. But recently I discovered an interesting item at a local tabletop store. They had this dice called GM Assist dice, and it basically, let me give you guys a clear background to look at. It gives you these dice that help a GM essentially storytell the adventure itself. Each die is specific for something. I do already have some other die that are from other games. Like, for example, I have the critical hit dice, which show you what kind of damage you do to a person. But I noticed I wasn't using those too often. So I stumbled upon these, and they are really interesting. Haven't used them yet. So let's go through a few. These three here are meant for the type of damage and where the hit lands, if you guys can see it. So lower region, central region, and then this is the type. Similar to the other dice I just showed you. This is like legs for typical human characters, the head. This is more for creatures, basically. So those three are for damaging. What type of damage? Then you have these two are a little similar. I wasn't too sure why they are. I'm not sure if this is like this is NPC or interactions, expression, NPC encounters. It's pleasant, busy, amiable, benevolent, welcoming. So I believe these are more for human characters, for perhaps NPCs that are not threats. Essentially, this is more in text and word format. So you have attacking, approaching, unaware, surprise attack. I think this one's more uninterested attacking. This is probably more for encountering or beginning an encounter with a potential villain enemy. So I'm going to keep that one in mind. You have weather, which is one of my favorites here. It has sunny, bright, overcast, rain, fair conditions, etc. You have the same thing on top. I don't see snow, but I think that can be always fudged for different terrain and encounter. So that would work like that. So these are more for scene setting. All these are actually, most of these are for scene setting. Then you have loot size, loot type, medium, small loot, special item. You have basically just anything loot really. Nothing if you don't encounter anything. Go like that. Very small loot. So, you guys do know I also do the percentage die roll for per chance if there were to be anything like 80% chance I find loot, and then I'll be like, okay, I do find loot, and then is it going to be valuable? I roll again, 50% chance. Oh yeah, it is valuable. Is it a weapon? 20% chance. It's not a weapon. It's a potion of healing or something like that. That kind of does save time or takes out a few steps with just this one die. And the percentage die can be for something else. But then there's you have looks like this is more for traps. So I think this is for traps. Yes. So you roll it, and this is the type of traps, more for the dungeon, perhaps, atmosphere, pit, acid, slash, sonic, lightning, etc. No trap at all, crush. So it's kind of universal, can work outside and inside areas. I think these are critical fails, critical damage, etc. Stun, item damaged. So perhaps this is for the player character more so. If I roll a failure, I'll roll this and figure out what happens. So location numbed. Maybe the entire party is affected by my bad roll. Continual damage. It has there are quite a few to choose from. Weapon stuck, so weapon gets stuck in the wall if I swing too hard. Then you have encounter generators. This is probably my favorite one, I think, out of all of these, aside from the weapon and loot. But this one basically, what's going to happen to our character unless it bounces out of that tray? You have we basically encounter a very difficult enemy here. So encounter difficult enemy. It has environmental obstacle, special, encounter difficult, innocent, no encounter. So it has quite a few to choose from. So innocent. Okay, so just a little helpless cub. Want to help it back find his Papa Bear. But yeah, that's basically this dice in a nutshell. It's going to be quite handy, I think. I'm going to definitely keep these off the side, and then all my dice are on uh this little tray. Now, as far as the Oracle I was mentioning earlier, besides the one that's in the system that for the task checks, I still occasionally do the percentage system, which I just fell in love with doing. It is great. And I'm talking about the one where you think of a percentage based on chance. And so you have, let's say, a character uh, needs to sneak into a room, and the hallway he's cutting through, there's guards. Well, let's say he's an expert at sneaking. This will be a task check, so perhaps let's try something different. Um, the chances of someone being at an inn or an abandoned ruins. Our character is walking by an abandoned church. It's nighttime. It's out in the forest, and there's an abandoned church randomly in the middle of it in an oak clearing. What are the chances that there's someone there? Well, let's say it's nighttime, perhaps 35% chance, 43. So there's no one there. If I rolled a 20 or 10 or 15, maybe there's a creature in there. There's a squatter, there's some bandits or two or the traveler. So we'll keep rolling until we figure out who they are, or we would use this dice to state who it is. So if I roll, yeah, if I roll an 80 and it's like 9% chance of someone in there, I'll roll this and say, okay, there's no encounter. There's no issue essentially. Or I already re-roll this just for the narrative's sake, but we might use this dice a lot. Okay, so that's that. That's the dice, just the new dice I got. This will still be here on the side. What I want to try is journaling more and less of the map. So theater of the mind, but basically journaling approach to solo RPG. Um, I was trying to think of how to do this, like developing a system where it's split in half and you have character actions here and you have settings or world here, like the enemies, encounters, NPCs, everything is on one half of the page. But I think I'll just kind of figure a system out. I journaled a lot before my past videos. Um, Especially I've been journaling the Misfortune, which is my ongoing long campaign I occasionally work on. But I really want to step away from the map and just focus on the journal, focus on the story and the creativities of just basically imagining how things will work out. So what you will see, I do write at an angle a lot. I have been in the videos doing this, but because there's no map really to worry about, we just have this one side, and I have the rules here on the left, then I would basically write like this, and you guys will get pretty up close and personal with my writing. So I'm going to be doing this, this, and this, and this, writing that, and we'll go from there. So uh, let's just do a sample session. Let's figure out where our character's going to start. We have to have a theme. We got to choose whether it's from past, present, future, cyberpunk, uh, the near future. What we can do is just think of one off the bat. Let's do the future. Let's do on Earth in the future. So let's say let's roll to see if this will take place on the Earth. Let me see. Let's get a percentile die. Oh, let's see. Where's my? I just have my D10 in my hand. There it is. Okay, so basically, what are the chances that this will take place on Earth? Let's say we'll just do 50-50. And we have, oh, it is definitely not on Earth. It's 97. It is straight out there in space. So we have location. Now let's figure out where exactly in space. So I want to think that we are going to be are we on a spacecraft? Let's say 75% chance on that one. We're not on a spacecraft. We're all the 90. A lot of 90s right now. We're not, so that means we're on a planet, or we're on a spacecraft would meaning like something that's moving. Well, are we on a station? Let's say 65% chance we're on a space station of sorts. 65. We're not. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna be on a planet. Now this planet, we're on a planet, but is this planet going to be a city based, like one giant city, like Coruscant basically, from Star Wars? Is it going to be a giant city? Let's say 80% chance it is. Yeah, oh, 80, yep. Well, I'm sorry, 8. It is definitely a city. It is a very large, gigantic city. Um, a large city, and it's just one giant city, the planet itself. Or does the planet have, um, if it's the future, does the planet have, is it basically entirely covered with one large city? Again, like Coruscant, we can say 75% chance of that. It is, yep. It's basically one giant city. Okay, it's basically one large city. We'll just do that. It's a large city. It's one whole city. The entire planet's covered. Now, if I'm thinking more like Coruscant, then we're basically going into the whole class system. Now, this planet, is it a Is it going to be governed by, does it have a set hierarchy government, or like, is it ruled by one person? That's the thing. So we have a couple possibilities here. Let's roll a d6. So basically, 1 through 2, it is going to be a democratic system. 3 through 4 is going to be one ruler, or maybe 5 through 6 is corporate. So like a powerful corporate body. 5 through 6. So it is one person rules it, and let's say ruled by one person, or perhaps a group. Now, is it ruled by a just one individual? Let's say 75% chance on that one. 43. It is. Okay, it's ruled by one individual person. And let's say that individual person is going to be, let's say, one individual, and the planet, his name, perhaps he could part of the story, his name will be, we can go the Star Wars route with names. Maybe Argon, Argon Slash. Argon Slash is the ruler. Now, I feel like getting, let's see, if this is an enemy or if he's good or bad. So basically, we'll roll 2 die, red and blue. If it's blue, he's good. If it's red, he's bad. This will affect the story essentially. He's okay. He's a very noble, peaceful, on the good side of things. He's a good guy. Okay, so he is I'm hoping to be a villain, but we rolled a good. So let's say he's going to be um peaceful. Now maybe because he's peaceful, he's good essentially. He's lawful good, or he's just good. Perhaps he's easily to manipulate. He's easily to control. So um does he, let's say, is he controlled by something, some greater um force? He's not. So though he has some pushback on that, maybe he is Argon could be our character here. Argon is we're building backstory right now, then we'll get to the character design, which I will use a note card on. Argon is a dominant, respected ruler of we need a planet name, of course. Let's do, I'm thinking of Gemini. Our planet called Gemini. Of the planet Gemini. Okay. Oops. All right. So we have a planet name, and we have a person who rules it. Now, we can go into greater detail, but let's just stick with that. The planet, let's say, is it going to be the size of Earth? Yes, it's roughly the same size as Earth. So it's size of Earth. That just gives us an idea just for its size. Okay. And is it going to be wealthy, poor? Like, is it mostly a very diverse system of class, like a class system? We have, there's going to be the lower realms that are poor and rubbish. You have the middle class, then you have the upper echelon. You have the rich nobles at the top of the planet. So that it doesn't work like that, basically. Let's see. It does, yeah. So indeed, there is a class system similar to a democratic, capitalistic capitalistic system. And you notice that I went back to doing the die. I do actually kind of like this at times, or when building stories compared to percentage. So again, we're just trying out different methods for our beta test here. There's going to be a class system of living for the populace. You have, like I was saying earlier, you have the lower realms. I like that, just lower realms. Uh, Poor, trashy, crime, industrial region, industrial areas. You have, we need a better name for middle class. You have the standards. Let's call it the standards. The standards are just kind of mid-range above ground level. You have basically the middle class, the working class, whether it's technology or labor, working class tech or labor. Then you have, I did say upper echelon earlier, but you got let's do the hires. The hires are basically the rich, noble officials, like from different planets, leaders, corporate conglomerates, etc. Companies, corporate leaders, stuff like that. So we got the lower realms, you got the standards, and got the hires. That's the class system split into the three. Now, basically, this is a fairly basic planet. Now, weather-wise, is weather chaotic because it's just the whole entire planet is covered and perhaps they've terraformed it, they have control of the weather? Do they have control of the weather? They don't. It's become it's still does though it's not terrible. The 4 to 6 does kind of write down that the of the system of the planet, Mother Nature, essentially. What does this planet normally get? Let's figure that out. What's typical of this planet? It's usually fair. So typically fair the weather. It's not too bad. Typically fair weather. So perhaps there's really no major issue that is cause of concern. So that's probably not going to be an issue for our story. Okay, and then is this planet a large trading route or like a basically a big pit stop? That's why it's basically an entire city covering the whole planet. There has to be a good reason for that. So let's say, um, is it a basically a large trading post? It is. So the upper echelon, the hires basically. Um, let's see, Gemini. Oops, I keep spelling that wrong. Gemini is known to be the trading. Let's put a little quotation here. Trading post of the galaxy. It's perhaps that's a nickname. The trading post of the galaxy. And the galaxy. What I'm thinking is that this could be actually the Galactic Tide story that I want to do. And this is just one of the many planets explorable. So I'm going to put the Galactic Tide up here because I pretty much just walked into that one. This is a space story I've always wanted to do. But the Galactic Tide does involve a powerful organization, a corporate, privately owned organization known as the United Galactic Order, UGO. So perhaps this planet is the most dominant planet inside the system that remains untouched by that organization. So let's say antagonists. So we have a uh, obstacle, which would be the story obstacle. This will be the United Galactic Order, and they are a self-established corporate power that governs a vast region of the galaxy. So they are corrupt. Ugo is the nickname. People perhaps call him Ugo or Ego, is corrupt, shady, and uh let's see what else can be wrong with them. I'm thinking that they have just bad influence across the galaxy and a bad reputation, but vast resources and influence to stop them from truly collapsing on themselves, imploding. So, Ugo, let's figure out who runs Ugo. Ugo can basically, I'm thinking, is Ugo ran by one individual like the planet Gemini? It is interesting. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry, I completely missed what I rolled. Let me re-roll it. I tipped it over and I just didn't see it. It is not run by one individual. It is run by a group, perhaps, of individuals. So Ugo is ran by a group of four. Let's see how many individuals run it. Let's just do a d6. Six? Wow. Okay, so six are these six like individual people, like factions, or I think six factions makes sense. Six um factions that basically that control smaller smaller territories. Territory. I don't know how to spell territories. Smaller smaller sections of the galaxy as a means to control the productions of the production of product and goods. So basically, think of like a communist system, but ran by a corporate conglomerate. So an odd little combination, but that's essentially what I'm thinking about from Ugo. So Ugo is ran by a group of six factions that control smaller sections of the galaxy as a means to as a means to, I should say, direct direct the production of goods and product and goods. And obviously they have their own governing bodies in all industries. So they have their own governing bodies for each common industry in space, industry of the galaxy. So, agriculture on planets, the construction of crafts, the regulations of radio signals, everything you think of, they have control of it. And perhaps the six factions are just kind of little independent governing bodies that report to the Ugo. So it's run by, did we see if it was run by one person or six people? Run by six people. Okay. So this is classic mafia, a mafia family, like basically a protection racket scheme, perhaps. And the planet Gemini is the only real untouchable force of the planet, of this region, because it's so vast that I think Ugo wants to, the six factions of Ugo want to get rid of or perhaps influence somehow Argon because he is very peaceful and good. So he maintains order in his planet while Ugo does not doesn't like that basically. So these are the opposing forces. So I want to say we need the six faction names. We have one, two, three, four. These are the factions. Perhaps they can be defeated or fought or uh, morphed into something different during the campaign of the Galactic Tide. So hence why I say Galactic Tide. It's basically trying to get rid of the Ugo. That's the overall task. Um, so let's think of some names for our factions. I'm going to pause it and get a new source material to pull from. You know what? I can't find it. It was a certain book that had some tables in it, but I'm going to stick to my guts here. Okay, so let's think of some of six faction names for Ugo before we get to the character creation. Um, let's have we have probably let's just use some dice. We have the reds and blues. I'm thinking that we can do. We got the Redians. We got the Redians. We have they could be puns for colors, but I don't want to do that too obvious. We have Gemini. We have the Argonians. Argonian. Let's do a lot of ins. You have the Lasters. We have the actual Lasterians. Laster, Argon. Actually, let's just take the S's out. I like that. Zeredian, Argon. Perhaps we can make a joke when we get rid of them, like, oh, they are gone now. So, these Lasters, L. We'll just do Legion. Maybe they're a tough one. Taking that from the Misfortune campaign I'm doing. The Grit. We got the Grit. We have the box Barconian. We got the Barco, and then we have. I'm just thinking of random words in my head. We got the Digit something. Digimites. We got the Digimites. Digimon. We got the Digits maybe or Digio. Nah, that's too Dark Soul. Dark something. Dark something. We got the. So it's really tough to come up with names sometimes. Uh, Oh, I got one. Like Pentium, Penteon, Penteon. I like that. Pentium, like the old Pentium ships. Penteons. Let me write that a little better. Sorry, guys. I'll make this look good. The Penteons. So we got the Radian, Radio, Argon, Legion, Grit, Barco, and Penteons. Now, we can get to them as far as building them later on in the story. I really want to get to the character creation, so let's grab a note card. This will be the only character we do. We're gonna do a solo character. Well, actually, let's probably do. We can do two characters, perhaps. So, panning out or zooming out. So let's put this one a little aside for now. We have these two characters to work with. All right, let's pull my rules up here. Let's do two characters. Um, we have our first character. So we have to write a character name. Okay. Okay, I got a character name in mind now. Let's see, name Jebold. Jebold Blue Gore. Jebold Gore. He is his back. Let's see. All human characters. I don't think I'm gonna do any aliens right now. But so we'll just put he's human. Backstory or brief origin story. Let's say he was not an orphan per se, but a bandit as a child. And he grew up. I want both these characters to be from Gemini. So let's say he grew up in the lower realms. Um, grew up in lower realms. I probably should put this a little more on the section here. So origin story. He grew up in the lower realms on Gemini, and he's going to be now he is this not necessarily a transporter like similar to what we've been already doing in Misfortune. Let's say he's a scout, like he recruits people um for mercenaries, or he could be a mercenary. I want to say he's a hitman. Okay, now let's say he's a hitman. So it gives very simple role. Uh, Professional hitman. Or a data doctor, perhaps a professional. Maybe he takes out faulty droids. Doesn't kill necessarily people, but he is like a for hire uh droid. I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a Blade Runner similar role, but he is going to be. I want to give him maybe like one of these specials, like he's good with his mind or his power. But he grew up. Let's say he's a droid. Uh, Thinking if he has like cybernetic implants, perhaps he has. That'll give him maybe a little boost in power. As perhaps he was injured. He has cybernetic implants. Implants. Just kind of all over his body. Maybe he was injured from a shootout. Let's say he was heavily injured in a in a crash in a crash years ago. Now perhaps he's afraid of flying. Perhaps that can be afraid of flying. He likes to he likes to travel around the lower realms, and maybe he sheltered himself. He's like a hermit. Um, that'd be one ironic thing, but that can be definitely a narrative to build his character up and bring that fear. But I want to say he's now his profession wise, like he's a professional. His profession, which is not necessarily a option to write down, but I'm going to put it in anyways. Uh, Perhaps I can write that in the description here. So profession. Surprised I didn't include that actually. There we go. Profession. Let's say he's a hired gun, he's a mercenary assassin. I think we'll go that route. He's a hitman. He's a hitman, but mostly for faulty droids. Let's say mostly for faulty droids. Perhaps that's just some niche he picked up when doing his work. So that's his profession. Okay, so now we need power. We have power. We have speed and mind. Okay, so we roll 1d4 for each one, and hoping for the best here, because 1d4 is not a lot. 3 for power. I never really clarified if you can distribute them freely or mix and match. or moving one like the Karen system does, but let's put three into power. I think that's suitable for his plus three because that is technically a booster. There we go. Speed, not too worried about that. One, okay, yeah, that's just one. But this does affect the health too, so I gotta remember that too. Mind, two, okay, not bad for mind. Assassin. Expert. Choose one trait to be an expert on based on the origin story. I'm pretty sure power is gonna be one, so we'll do a little arrow experts on this one. And then the HP, which we'll put over here on the top. I'm sure we'll always have to update this one as we play. We'll do a box. So we'll just split this up in the corner. Current and max, basically. HP, the sum of three traits. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6. We only have 6 HP, which is not a lot in this game. I'm sure it'll be challenging. Okay, so now we have to do attack die. Let's see, what are we gonna do here? Attack die. So our attack die will be defense die. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a if he's an assassin, or if he's a hitman, I'm gonna say he has a pretty handy weapon. So I'm gonna say D6 will be his attack die, a D6, and that will be a some kind of futuristic sounding weapon. Defense, let's do D6, also for cybernetic implants. Um, let's have implants. I'm gonna say upgrades, cybernetic upgrades. Give him a little boost in there. His attack, let's say he has a phaser. He has a phaser ray, just making that up. Phaser ray. If I'm spelling that wrong, I don't care. Phaser ray. It's a blaster, basically, maybe long range. And then his defense is just perhaps he wears armor. He wears like a full suit armor. Full suit of armor. Full suited armor. Let's just say that. Helmet. Kind of like thinking like RoboCop from the newest movie, but like that, covering his mouth, obviously. Full suited armor. Or you know what? Better yet, he has like a personal, a portable shield, portable protective shield. It pops out like he does this with his elbow, and it pops out to protect us from blaster fire. So I think that's gonna be more of a his natural resistance to from his his upgraded body, but also D6 is mainly for his protective portable protective shield. Um, inventory up to 10 items. So we have the two already. So we'll do inventory right below. Sorry. We'll do start with three. So we have 3 days of food. We have one, two, this will be item three. Yeah, one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Make sure I'm keeping track of my items here. I don't have an official character sheet for this, obviously, so I'm kind of improvising. Inventory. We'll just box out this little area here. Then we'll put notes over here. Notes. Whoops, let me fix that up. Okay, so inventory. 3 days of food. We have a weapon. We have the armor already. Light source. Um, we have a moonlight. We'll call it moon. A moon glow. It's basically a light source. Light. A moon glow. It's like a portable ball they can conjure up out of the cybernetic hand or something. And then that's really it. Currency is the last option for character creation, so we got to roll 3d6, which is similar to Karen's, but these will be space credits. Obviously, we'll go that generic route. Space credits. Well, we have six. Actually, not bad. 6, 5. So we have 11, 12 credits. So 6, 5, that's 11, 12. Gold. We'll put gold up here. Not gold. Credits. Yeah, so 12. There's probably not enough room. Let me move it over a bit more. Let's do a little more here. Credits. 12. Okay, there we go. That's our first character. And I think that's all I'm going to do, actually. We'll just do that one character for now. So, all right, and let's actually start now our adventure. So, our character, this up the side now, is set. We have our pretty simple rules here. If we ever need to refer to it, off to the side. Our character sheet off to the side if we need it. And then we have our first starting section, which is more of the world building factor. But in any event, let's get started. I'm gonna just pause the video for a second. I realize at this point that this video will be my second H830 RPG workshop video because that's kind of what it's turning into. I'm using my rules to. We went through the rules. I'm trying out this new format for journaling, and then I have my character sheet. We went through some dice. So it's not necessarily a RPG video, but what I wanted to do before I take this, because I'm very annoyed by this little flap that keeps getting in the way. So what I went out and I got my other more of a conventional notebook here to use that I will have to carry over the details we just talked about. But that's good because um, this is way too much. My idea was to really condense things, and that's a habit I have to break. So I'm going to not, I won't show you guys. It's going to be too much, too repetitive. But I'm going to take all this information and translate it over to the new book and try to condense things. So I'll pause the video and do that momentarily. But while um, we're doing that, I noticed today I have quite the amount of brain farts. So I have found what I was looking for from earlier, and that's this. This is a really interesting RPG game called Pirate. I can never read that first. Pirate Borg, and it's obviously a pirate. You know, it's out in the seas. It's not it's not sci-fi, but I want to use the oracles in this thing because it has a bunch of oracles that are spread out. There'll be some page turning, but it's so awesome to read through this. So let me see if the light even helps at all. Nope, doesn't. So I'm trying to figure out if you guys can see better with the lights I use. Okay, I think this is fine for now. Anyways, it has like oracles right on the cover, right on the back front here, where your character starts, what happens, what condition you're in. It has names, it has foul weather, NPC motivations, loot, and for fantasy or for sci-fi, we can translate all this into different, um, just basically translate it from pirate to space. So it has all of these. It has all the the rules for itself for its own game because it is um, its own game type. And there's a character creation page. You then have its combat, which causes violence, hit points, etc. But we're going to ignore all that as much as awesome as it looks. Love the design of this stuff. We're going to look for pages to remember for the oracles, for the tables. So uh, this is just one of the oracles I have here at home. I obviously have the other pages with been using from the tables for one. Here is weapons that we can use, just a reference, but here comes the oracle. So we have D100 for backgrounds. Because earlier I was having trouble trying to find a background. Well, there you go. There's all these backgrounds here. Then you have, so this is page 55. Then we have D20 for, looks like, physical condition, distinctive flaws in people, That's really interesting. We have just looks like idiocracies, idiosyncrasies, unfortunate incidents or condition. We have thing of importance, which is a lot of these are D100. We have ancient relics, arcane rules. There's just so much stuff in here. It's crazy. All in this tiny book. Alchemy, which these aren't really ones you can roll for. Then we have the effects of it. Naval combat. There's just so much stuff. And then there's a lot more in the back. Optional wind rules, changing winds, foul weather. So encounters, the Kraken. So, space monster basically for us. No talent pirates in the Tartan. So a small pirate craft looking to board us, trying to board us, but are terrible at it. Zombies on floating debris. So a ship that is a craft that is um, floating abandoned after a dogfight, but it's filled with virus infected crew that are dead. So stuff like that. Events. A corpse floats by the ship. If rescued, it comes to life after D10 minutes. That's really interesting. Maggots. A mysterious uncharted island is spotted. So a mysterious uncharted planet is spotted. So a lot of this is fairly adaptable in what we're trying to do with the Galactic Tide. And I think I just want to rip some of these pages out and just use them as the Oracle, but this book is so nice, I don't want to do that. I'm not sure if I can get scans of these pages, perhaps, but there's just so much tables. So when I went to the store to get this a few months ago, I was asking the employees at this gamer store. I'm looking for a book that has a lot of oracles and tables, and they didn't have anything. But the guy's like, you know what? I know one that has a bunch for its gameplay, and then he recommended it. So I'm glad he did. There's ships, and then there's just so much treasure. It's crazy. This is probably would work better for a fantasy. I might just use this for I could probably use this for misfortune. Like, look at all this loot, buried treasure. It's crazy. Treasure maps. But the only issue I see is that if I'm recording, I pull this thing out, and I'm basically taking my time to look through the pages, and I don't edit these videos because of my availability to devote to this channel. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, if I'm using that correctly, the genre. But it's really amazing how much stuff this has. Now, what I also have is not just this book, but let me get my other few I have. I have this thing called the Game Master's Book of Random Encounters, and it's a much bigger book. A lot of it's filled with stuff I wouldn't really bother with, but um, it has a lot of location generation show. So basically, like one-shot adventures, taverns, inns, you name it. And then it has all these little stories you can work with. The book itself, one-shot adventures, and it has looks like it has pre-built adventures you can work through, and that's great and all, but that's not what. And it has these little maps, so it has these little preset adventures. But what I'm looking for is the oracles, and in the back half, I think there is a section devoted to that. Taverns and halls. These ones are more adaptable, but basically, what I'm looking for is the last, I think, third or quarter of this book. But don't get me wrong, this is great for GMs. I think this is, or even for solo play, you get all these adventures and laid out maps, but I'm looking for the oracles. Encounter generator. Well, these are technically encounters, but I thought there was a section of tables I can use. Tunnels. If I'm looking at the right book, I got two of these books here. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. There, that's what I'm looking for. It's all in the back of it. Random NPC generator, which for space, like I mentioned earlier, when I was using humans. Then we have this. You have names, descriptions, and deeper desires. And all these names. There's plenty of them. That's what was impressive about this book. Then random tavern generator, which we could use for planets. Like Intrepid sounds like a planet. Let's see, Yawning sounds like a planet. Ample, Very Force 9, random course generator, party makeup maker. So it does have some tables that I was really intrigued by. And then I have what I was using before for Misfortune was the Mythic game, the single. It's a one-page Mythic. It's covered by the clip here. Mythic's Game Master emulator. So this one has the Oracle that I have used from time to time. I used a lot when I first discovered it, but it's a D100 system, and there it is. So I was really liking this. And I found that video on YouTube where the guy was doing percentage dial just based on chance, like what you just basically pitch a number out and say what are the chances that blah blah blah. This is you already have a set number, so but you say likely, very likely, nearly certain, certain, and then unlikely, very unlikely, near impossible, impossible. But it also has this huge section for actions and descriptors. So a roll like let's say the planet we're on, what's well known about the planet, 24. The planet is known to be controlled, so controlled, disagreeable. So it's controlled by, we already described, it's controlled by one person. And how is that person basically? So 99, looks like 96. That person's very strange. So I like to use, this is a chart I like to use, but I may or may not use this specific oracle. But again, I do like how it has, these two sections really just kind of jumpstart my brain and come up this up. So I might keep this one handy for now. And then we got my rules there for our character. Now I'm going to go ahead and convert and get our information about the planet and the backstory ready to go. And I'll pause that so you guys want to sit through it. Okay, so I did use the pirate book for for one name actually, but what I did fudge some things around. Galactitide, still planet Gemini, the size of the Earth, entire city, ruled by Argon Slash. Ironically, with his last name like that, he's peaceful, good reputation, respected role. The three systems of the three class systems, lower realms, standard, higher, the standards, the highers. Planet nickname of trading post of the galaxy. Then there's Ugo, so I have Gemini details planet here in the obstacle. Ugo, United Galactic Order, corporate body that governs a vast section of all the galaxy. Corrupt, bad rep, but vast reach and wealth. Own it and operate. So I decided to make it owned by an individual because I think there might be interesting conflict between him and this guy, the ruler of the planet Gemini. So Pataro is his name, and he has six officials. So I kept the sixth class. I kept the sixth idea for these factions, but they're actually people. So he has six officials slash captains uh who control certain factions. So Red, Argon, I should say sections, perhaps planets or post anything. So Red, Argon, League, Grit, Barco, and Pent. Those are our six captains. So this was a video game. Our character would take these guys out and then go straight through the head for the organization. So yeah, we have I think a good start here for the Galactic Tide once we get to it. I'm still obviously working on the misfortune, but I'm just happy I have this dice where to make on the spot rolls good for smaller scenes. In any event, I think this is where we can probably start. Let's put a starting case for our character. So this is episode one, essentially, or episode zero, I should say, which I won't actually put in the title, but um, for episode 1, once we get to it, let's put our character in a starting situation. Where's my character sheet? Here it is. So our character, G-Wolf Gore. I'm gonna take out that first name. I'm not a big fan of it, and just call him. You know what? Let's use the book. So the pirate book here. We have the names are right in the front. It's a D12, I think. Yep. Okay, let's just roll for 12. For 12 name is Charles Steed. I like Steed. That's less than normal. Steed. So Steed. That's his name. So our character name is Steed. He same background, the backstory we can keep the same. Grew up in the lower realms on Gemini. Has cybernetic upgrades. Is heavily injured in the crash. Afraid of flying. Um, Hitman mostly for faulty androids. Now let's see where he starts. So Steed. Let's see where we can roll here. D100, I think. Corrosive. Let's see. We're gonna start a character here. D20. Okay. So let's see if you guys can see this. D20. There we go. D20. Last night you blanked. So let's see. What do we do? We did 6. We got in a fight. Okay. So Steed is where we start. Uh, had a fight or got into a fight. Got in a fight. Okay. With let's see. With who exactly? 9. A, go- a ghost. Okay. So a ghost. That's with this in the pirate realm here. Um, Maybe there are spirits in this one if we want to go fantasy, but a ghost. Maybe it was like a hologram. I'm gonna say with a hologram. How can you get with a fight with a hologram? I like that. It's just silly. Got into fight with a hologram. You wake up. Let's see, 7 tied to a stake. Oh my gosh! So he's trapped. Um, he wakes up tied to a beam. Modernize it. Tied to a beam, and now you are blank. Let's see. 7 on a wanted poster. Oh, okay, wanted from Ugo. Let's just say that. Tied to a beam, wanted by Ugo. Perhaps that the hologram was quite unique. It was perhaps a advertisement for to join Ugo, like it's Ugo Force, and he got really fed up with it. He was drunk. Um, got into a fight with a hologram. I think it's funny. I mean, the hologram did have some physical presence, but it was just like it was basically like a mall cop, but for Ugo. That's really interesting, actually. I like this. I like the book's layout here. Now, what is our character's current motivation? Let's see. 3. He's recovering. Okay, so we're recovering from apparently we got a fight with a hologram. Maybe we were injured by. Were we injured by? Let's see. Let's pull the book aside. Percentile. Were we injured by Ugo? Let's see. I'm gonna say likely. 22. Yep. We were injured by Ugo somehow. Now, let's see how that happened. 3. Benefit. It benefited them apparently to injure us. Um, no, I'm gonna re-roll for that. C58. Harm. They did cause us harm, so I think we're just kind of rolling repetitiveness at this point. But we were injured by Ugo, the hologram. So the hologram was Ugo. It was an Ugo advertisement, like in the lower realms, like join Ugo. So we're basically a location, I would say we're on Gemini, the lower realms. Is he gonna be outside? Very likely because of his profession. 44. Yeah, he's outside right now. He's not home. Is he on a job? Let's roll action, see what happens. What's he doing exactly? 98. Surprise, he's taking care of something. He's running a surprise errand. He was running a surprise errand. Um, he was running, oh no, a surprise valuable. That's also 98. So he was on a job, was on a hit. Surprisingly valuable. It was just a droid. Surprisingly a high reward. Let's see, surprisingly high reward. High pay. But then did it go wrong? I want to say, because now he's tied to a beam. We'll say, did it go wrong? Very unlikely. 77. It didn't go wrong, but an object, something got in the way. So I'm saying it didn't go wrong, but there was an object. It was quiet. Something quiet got him. I'm gonna say it. We'll re-roll for that. But got into a fight. So he got into a fight with a hologram, Ugo advertisement, just for comedic purposes. Now he woke up, so this is current, tied to a beam, wanted by Ugo. So maybe he fled, or he's wanted by them. They weren't actually physically there. Him destroying the hologram machine, or the hologram itself, uh, got a picture of him somewhere through some security system, and now he's recovering. But he's tied to a beam, so who tied him up? That's the question. How'd he get there? Maybe he's already wanted by Ugo. Yeah, I'm gonna say he's already wanted by Ugo. He's already wanted. Maybe that's why he stays out in the lower realms to hide from their influence. But he was injured by Ugo. Maybe the advertisement exploded or he damaged it. He was they got to the fight part. Maybe the hologram is actually a droid. Oh, he hates. Well, okay, let's just say it's a fight with a droid, and it was just a little. It was a small little like moving on wheels, like a trash can from Star Wars, with Ugo advertisement saying "Join Ugo, join the Ugo Force," some crap like that. And uh, it got in his way when he was chasing a bad droid when he was on a job on a hit that was a surprisingly high pay, but he I don't know, that's the part. So he wakes up tied to a beam, wanted by Ugo, got into a fight. Ugo advertisement. I'm thinking that maybe it's not Ugo advertisement, that this droid is actually the one he was supposed to go after. Got into a fight with a droid. Maybe he was actually just out at the bar drinking. Yeah, he was at the bar, at a lounge or at a bar. Yeah, he was at the bar drinking, drunk, and he just got into a fight with some random droid. Maybe he has some kind of um rate like what do you call it? Bias against droids. Let's add that in. Like he has a hatred for droids. I don't say he's afraid of flying. He has a hatred for droids, and we can uncover that later on. But got into a fight. A Steed. Our character name is Steed. I keep forgetting that now. Got into a fight with a droid at the bar, drunk. Wakes up tied to a beam, and he's already wanted by Ugo. injured by maybe some by the droid, but he doesn't remember much. He just remembers fighting with a droid. Doesn't remember uh, faint details, like faint memory of what happened. Doesn't remember everything. So that's where he is right now. He's already wanted by. That's just a little verification for the story. So that's where he sets up. He's tied to a beam. Maybe he's outside the bar. Uh, he's outside the bar, and he was he got a hit basically on his little device on his messenger, his Palm Pilot. He got a new hit basically, and that's maybe when he was already drunk, so he didn't exactly go on the mission itself, the task. So that's where our character's currently at. He's tied to a beam outside the bar after getting in a fight with a droid because he has some kind of bias against droids. But I'd say that it's probably a good start for now with this adventure and this book here. I think it works okay. So thanks for watching this 8:30 workshop 2, I think, where we just kind of did random stuff as usual. Nothing really, no real direction, but purpose was just get the Galactic Tide actually jump started, and we already have an interesting start. So I will shelve this for now as I continue working on Gemini, but this will be ready to go once we get to the video. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.